Esfrost and Glenbrook remained strong after declaring a trade stop with Hyzant. Gustadolf sends Erica to Hyzant to deliver his ultimatum, and dispatches an army to Glenbrook to increase the pressure on the Holy State. Hyzant, under the banner of Prince Roland, sends Minister Serenoa Wolfort of the Saintly Seven to prepare for retaliation. Softly but surely, Norzelia descends into war once more.
Those are the Archduke's wishes. I implore you not to forget that this is his final offer. Come to think of it, I heard that Wolfort was added to your saintly ranks. Where might he be?
I'm afraid I cannot answer that. The dealings of the Saintly Seven are our business, and ours alone.
How disappointing. I had hoped to congratulate him on his promotion.
That wretched woman. Those are hardly wishes.
Esfrost all but demands us open the source to restore our diplomatic relations.
The Duchy fears neither a lack of salt nor the goddess's shield. We can assume they have a plan in mind.
Then this was no more than a ploy to stall for time. We had best expedite House Wolfort's plans to take the capital. Minister Exham, send word to Minister Serenoa.
You wish to lend us Hyzant's new weapon?
Yes, it was a directive from the Holy One. The weapon is one Minister Lila developed in secret.
I compressed a vast quantity of magic into crystal form. We call this weapon Elfric. The blast crystals have yet to be perfected, but they can decimate a castle wall easily enough.
We thank you for your support.
Be forewarned that their power makes him unwieldy in an average battle.
They are not meant to be used on people. Furthermore, we are only giving you a single blast crystal.
Regardless, I'm certain it will come in handy while recapturing Whiteholm Castle.
Its incomplete nature makes it regrettably tricky to use, but Milo should be able to take care of that for you. Use them both wisely.
I am Milo. A dancer by trade, but assistant to the Saintly Seven on occasion. I shall serve you, Minister Serenoa, until we reclaim the capital.
You sure you'll be okay?
You needn't worry. It isn't my first time flirting with danger.
Hyzantian spy?
Very likely.
The blast of the Elfric should help you catch the enemy unawares. Both my army and Minister Camcells will join in the attack. Can we entrust command to you, Minister Serenoa?
Most certainly. And the crystal will be key in our plan to reclaim Glenbrook.
You have made a grave error in allowing thieves to raid the archives, Constable Sigrus.
Forgive me. My guards gave chase as soon as they noticed intruders, but they'd already fled beyond our reach.
What did they take?
Luckily, they were unable to gain entry we keep our more sensitive texts. All they were able to make off with was a single book penned by the late Lady Orlea.
Orlea? She left behind a message of sorts?
She'd bid it be passed on to Lady Frederica when she came of age, but it seems those wishes were forgotten.
Thalos or Erica must have hidden it from her. They derived no greater pleasure than from tormenting her. Do we know what was written in this book?
No. Storage records indicate it was protected by some arcane seal.
It must be of some significance, if she would go to such lengths to protect it from prying eyes. Perhaps something to do with the Rosellan liberation, for which she fought so fiercely. Or perhaps it is not but a mother complaining to her daughter of duchy they both despise.
I shall send a party to hunt down the thieves at once.
No need. Such ruffians are unlikely to be in the employ of our foe. No doubt they were simply looking to loot us to fill their purses. It is more important that we dispose of Svarog and finish the Nell with all haste. Dispatch your soldiers there.
Aye, Your Grace.
Benedict asked me to scout out Teleorn where the Asfrosti soldiers are stationed. But I hardly see any around. Why did he ask me to come here in the first place? I doubt it would matter in reclaiming the capital. But orders are orders. I should report back.
Ah, tidings from Erica. She says Hyzant refused our final offer.
You seem surprised. There was no way Hyzant would agree to open the source.
I know that, but the negotiations were meant to buy us time. Yet it seems their soldiers are already on the move. Damn it all! This wasn't supposed to happen.
If you play with fire, you get burned. Now we have no recourse but to meet them in battle without the Archduke.
So it has come to war, then?
We just have to beat them at their own game. Their newest saint is heading the vanguard. You must be delighted that a former retainer to the crown is coming to visit, right, Cordelia?
Enough, Thalos. I won't allow such impudence toward the Queen.
Queen? This child is nothing more than a puppet. And I believe the impotent one here is you, Avlora. A general has no right telling the Prime Minister what to do.
I had no idea the Prime Minister's job was to torment the weak.
Enough, General Avlora. I will answer the Prime Minister. As the Queen of Glenbrook, I shall protect my kingdom until my dying breath, no matter who may stand against me.
It appears your impudence is contagious, Avlora. Your charge knows not how powerless she is.
Worry not, Your Majesty. I shall protect you.
Because I am to wed the Archduke?
Because you are a warrior. One who does not give up, even if she must fight her battles alone. I was an orphan. I never knew my parents. I entered the army to make a place for myself. So I know better than anyone the pain of having to do everything on your own.
Allow me to bare my heart to you as well, General of Laura. As the last heir to the throne of Glenbrook, I do not intend to let Gustadolf have his way.
You mean to strike down the Archduke?
But I lack the power to do so. Have you heard of the Royalists? The aristocrats who were aid to my father.
I have. I also heard they secretly indulged in bribes and the like for personal gain. That man Patriot was cozying up to the Archduke not seconds after King Regna's beheading. Their kind knows no loyalty.
Indeed. But Gustadolf has not given any of them a position in his court, so they have fallen on hard times. I want to ask Patriot and the other royalists for their help.
Are you mad? No doubt they would wholeheartedly embrace you as their symbol, but only for their own purposes.
I understand that. But their years in service to the crown have earned them great influence in politics. I must have their support if I'm to reclaim Glenbrook.
Is it possible for you to rein them in?
Not alone. But with you, General of Laura, I can. They lack military might. If you accompany me, I could sway them to my cause. Please, General, lend me your strength.
As an Esfrosty general, I simply cannot turn a deaf ear to what you have told me. Did you not think I would tell the Archduke of your plans?
Of course I did. But I refuse to stand idly by as a mere decoration. So if it meant earning your trust, I was willing to show you that I wish to protect Glenbrook by any means necessary.
You took a gamble.
I had to. For it is not status or reward that moves you.
So you bet on my honor, and refusal would sully my name forever. However, safeguarding the kingdom comes first. Fighting at your side will have to wait.
General of Laura!
A word of advice, Your Majesty. Both Hyzant and the Archduke are veterans of war. The fight will not be an easy one, and may rage on for many years.
Even so, I will not falter. I must do this. For my father and brothers.
An admirable resolve. One which I will see fulfilled. I shall be your sword and shield, my queen.
Thank you, General of Laura.
I'm not yet satisfied.
Hail and well met, my good fellow. Lionel greets you most hot.
Ah, Clara spoke of you. Lionel, eh?
The very same, and in a position of privilege for which he is most grateful. A privilege that he would be most happy to share with the consortium, that it might prove to our mutual benefit.
Oh, a fellow man with an eye for profit, I see. What privilege have you brought me today?
A worldly fellow such as yourself has doubtless heard rumors of Hyzant's clandestine research projects, yes?
Indeed I have. Developing weapons of devastating power, unlocking the secrets of eternal life.
What if Lionel were to tell you that Hyzant has in fact created an elixir that offers everlasting youth?
I would be intrigued, and then I'd ask you how you could possibly know such a thing.
It's a simple matter of logic. Think. Why would Hyzant hide the existence of so wondrous a panacea?
I suppose they'd want to keep such power to them and theirs.
Just so. The only thing kings and nobles covet more than salt is life itself. My lord is no exception.
What are you saying? That those you serve have procured this miracle drug?
Lionel has found himself welcome within nobility's most inner circles, he is proud to say, and privy to their secret conversations. He also finds himself in possession medicine, A medicine he would be happy to part with a share of, for the right price.
A price I'd be more than willing to pay for such an incredible elixir. Do tell me, what exactly does it do?
What doesn't it do? Its imbiber is blessed with unyielding vigor, unflagging stamina, and unmitigated vitality. Demand has proven so overwhelming that Lionel cannot hope to deliver the goods all on his own. He would be willing to share his profits with the right partner, however.
If you've won the noble's trust, then I see no reason to hesitate in helping you take some of their coin. Very well. Let me see the goods.
That makes 10, who put their lust for coin before their capacity for reason. This is almost too easy. With a few rumors and a respected name at his disposal, Lionel could sell these gullible fools their own shoes, so they're welcome to help themselves to this purgative. And if one or two of them is remarkably long-lived, then all the better for Lionel.
And are you content to make your fortune on the fools?
Yeah, you? How long have you been there?
Since the morning, on Benedict's orders.
Your overseer is too kind. However, you may return and inform him that Lionel needs no protection. His work to bring Fort House Wolfort requires the utmost concentration, and the presence of others can prove an unnecessary distraction.
Master Archibald, is there something on your mind?
Goddess be good. I must be getting on in years you to be able to sneak up on me like that.
What troubles you?
I was only reminiscing. Indeed, days like these tend to blow my mind back a couple of decades or more.
Reminiscing about what?
The Salt Iron War. Hard to believe it's been 30 whole years. Some days I almost forget my time as one of the Saintly Seven. I defended the Citadel of Sands from Flicked. I was there when Esfrost attacked. A number of Rosellan prisoners who tried to escape the Source were there too, including Lady Frederica's dear mother.
What's this?
She stayed behind all by herself to help the countless number of her fellow Roselle flee. That's how she wished. But I knew we couldn't hold the Citadel. So I helped her and her friends escape in secret before the enemy attacked. The wind blew just as hard that night as it's blowing now. I'll never forget watching the Roselle, caked all over in mud as they slipped away into the dark.
So you didn't want innocents to get caught up in the coming battle?
It never settled right with me. The way the goddess's teachings permitted abuse of the Roselle for the supposed sins of their past. A person's life isn't worth more or less just because of the conditions of their birth. More than anything, I was moved by the selfless acts of Frederica's mother. She reminded me of what I had once aspired to be. She was able to do what I never could. Risk her life to save her friends. I couldn't let someone like that die. Not on my watch. It wasn't long until the other Saint Levin discovered what I'd done. They branded me a traitor, stripped me of my title, and sentenced me to death. Of course, I slipped out of their clutches before they could have my head. I wandered for a while before taking up life as a merchant under the Glenbrook's patronage.
I never knew you and Lady Frederica's mother shared such a past.
Well, it is in the past. Anyway, let us return. This cold night wind is making my old bones ache something fierce.
I apologize, but are you suggesting we destroy the dam around Telior Reservoir to start a flood?
The capital city was built on the banks of the Norzelia River. Breaking the dam surrounding Lake Telior upstream will allow us to submerge a majority of the city. Flooding the town will throw their army into disarray, which should allow us to take the place by storm.
Lake Telior is a man-made reservoir. You'll be able to brew with a blast crystal.
Huette scouted the area earlier and reported seeing very few sentries. Proof enough this is outside the Archduke's calculations.
No. The damage will be too great. The means would not justify the end, Benedict.
We can't afford to lose.
I agree with Roland. There is already far too much blood on our hands. Perhaps it's worth speaking with the people and gaining their understanding.
Unless we reclaim, it's unlikely they'll understand or support our actions. We must take the capital and show our strength and resolve first.
So that means you stand by Benedict, then?
If we have a sure shot at winning, we need to take it, no matter the consequences. We can't lose the war. We just can't.
Telior Reservoir is the kingdom's water source. The dam was constructed to protect the people from floods. I doubt they would ever forgive us should we choose to destroy it for war.
Glenbrook thrives because of that water, and to use it otherwise is inexcusable. Brute strength isn't the only way to reclaim the city. We can strike at night and defeat their commanding officers. There are ways to slip into the castle unseen.
If you have used it before, there is a chance it has been sealed off since.
There is more than one route. You needn't worry.
So you mean not to use the blast crystal?
No, I do. After we sneak in, we can sink Esfrost's warship. It would close off their escape route.
Our first priority should be ensuring the people's safety. We cannot allow them to be taken hostage. It would restrict our options as well.
She's got a point. But how do we take the capital back after that?
We could use the blast crystal to destroy the bridge connecting the town and the castle. The enemies would be stuck within the walls.
That would certainly mitigate the damages to the citizens. If we encircle the castle, we could negotiate with them.
We could ask them to yield, free Glenbrook, and re-establish the trade between our nations. I am certain we can find a way to make both parties agree.
Negotiate?
I understand yours and the wishes held therein.
Allow me to ask once more. Shall we shatter the dam around Lake Telior and flood the town? Sneak in under the guise of night, sink their ships, and slay their commanding officers? Or destroy the bridge, safeguard the people, and negotiate with the enemy? Fetch the scales. It is time we decide our path.
Aye, lad. Aye, but... Consider this. Are you joking? Tough spot we're in.
My lord.
Yes, sir. Certainly. I must hear what the others think.
Say. Certainly. A hard choice. It is time to cast our votes. In which strategy do we entrust the future of Glenbrook? Approach the scales of conviction with your token at the ready. I believe in you.
On this, I cannot be swayed.
I agree.
Forgive me, lad.
This conviction will illuminate the path we've chosen. The way forward is decided. We collapse the bridge and trap the enemy within the castle, keeping the common folk safe from the worst of the fighting.
You will safeguard the people, drive the enemy into the castle, and negotiate. You have chosen a righteous path, Wolfort. But do you really think negotiations will prevail? Such sympathy may be your downfall.
Even so, this is the path we have chosen.
Then walk tall. It is time to test your mettle. I must return to Hyzant and see Minister Camsell. Next we meet, you will have both of our armies at your backs.
You have my thanks.
We cannot afford to lose this fight. For Norzelia.
I thought this battle was for Glenbrook.
This is not a simple struggle for power, Minister Serenoa. The goddess, the source, iron? The war of 30 years ago comes back to haunt us because the old cling to relics of the past. Norzelia needs to be born anew. Right now, the people of every nation are searching for a young standard-bearer to guide them.
A standard-bearer?
Yes, people like you and me. This war is a fine opportunity for us to show our worth to Norzelia.
Wolfort and Hyzant join forces and begin planning Glenbrook's recapture. But with the Norzelia River and the Esfrosti armies in their way, retaking the capital will be no easy feat. Frederica proposes they destroy the bridge linking the castle to the rest of the capital, isolating the enemy and forcing them to parley. Though it may draw out the conflict, it is well worth it if they can avoid causing suffering to the... Serenoa and the others agree to the plan. In support of House Wolfort, Hyzant's great army marches forth for the first time since the Salt Iron War.
The Hyzantian forces should be arriving any moment, Frederica.
Well then, let us make them welcome.
My lady, are you certain this is the path you desire? We are to battle against your people, against Thalos and Erica.
I am keen aware of that.
Of course you are. But simply understanding a thing doesn't mean you are ready to face it. A single second's hesitation on the battle could cost you life.
Worry not. I shall prevail against any who stand against me, even my siblings.
To try and save them?
No, to save and to save House Wolfort.
Minister Serenoa, Minister Camsell and myself had brought what troops we could muster.
I'm grateful for your assistance.
It was an arduous journey. Is there anywhere the soldiers could rest?
We've prepared barracks at the harbor. Please use them freely.
You do have everything.
Hyzant has not mobilized a force so large since the Salt Iron War. Yet I hear you intend to settle this not by battle, but by parley. The Holy One will not agree to any half-hearted measures.
The pressures of a large army on the capital's threshold is part of our plan. Come inside and I will explain the rest.
General, House Wolfort and Hyzant have joined forces. There are indications their armies intend to march upon the capital.
Which direction will they come from?
We cannot yet be certain.
Close the city gates and rally the garrisons. I want the way to the castle completely blockaded.
And we ought to consider their attack from the river. House Wolfort knows very well how difficult this castle is to take. I doubt they think to capture it with a direct assault.
Indeed. Hyzantian soldiers are used to desert conditions. Doubtful they'd be keen to engage us in a marine battle. Though acting on that assumption and sending all our troops to the land route does leave a vulnerability the enemy could exploit. Send a party to scout along the banks, then have them report to the harbor and ready our ship.
Yes, General.
Why beat around the bush? We have the soldiers, we should strike and end them.
It's best to avoid open battle. With the capital and Whiteholm under our control, we have the advantage.
All that tells me is you're frightened of Wolfort.
There is no enemy safe not to fear. A leader's hubris is the death of her soldiers.
Frederica is attacking us. What does it matter how many soldiers die? I command you to kill Frederica, Avlora.
Personal grudges have no place in the battlefield.
Silence! Gustadolf entrusted us with the castle's protection in his absence. Noble as frosty blood flows through our veins. How dare you order us about?
You do well to remember what you are, Aurora. A simple orphan who doesn't even know her true name.
Yet it is this simple orphan in charge of our army. Insult me all you like. I will not allow open battle.
Obstinate woman. No matter. The reinforcements our brother sent are under our command.
I shall lead soldiers into the capital myself and crush Wolfort's forces when they arrive.
Is this the Esfrost I am to defend?
General Avlora.
My spies obtained the situation at the capital. The bulk of the enemy is holed up in Whiteholm Castle. Right now, they don't seem to be very active.
And what of the common folk?
Their daily lives progress apace. It seems the enemy has yet to notice our movements.
Perfect conditions to execute Lady Frederica's plan. If the people are at ease, we should be able to seize the capital without resorting to all-out battle.
Thank goodness.
Then let's review the plan. First, my retinue shall take a small vessel to Whiteholm Castle and destroy the bridge.
Are you certain you want to go by yourselves? We could lend you some soldiers.
The fewer of us there are, the less likely we are to be spotted. We'll manage. We'll have the blast crystal.
Oh yes, a bridge like that'll come falling down pretty easy. You'll see.
The explosion will be your signal to march into the capital and keep the people calm.
Without using force, yes. I shall impress upon my soldiers they are not to act rashly.
Thank you, Minister.
As for you, Minister Kamsa, we'd like you to take the naval forces to blockade the castle.
Very well. I can't say I'm much experienced in marine warfare, but I'll do my best.
Destroy the bridge, capture the town, blockade the river, isolate the enemy in the castle, and turn that impregnable fortress into their prison.
Once they're trapped, they'll have no choice but to parley with us and release their stranglehold on Glenbrook.
I hope you're right. A word of caution before we begin. Prince Roland, you are aware they will likely use Queen Cordelia as leverage when the time for parley comes? But no matter what pressure they apply, we cannot allow them to break us, should the worst come to pass.
I understand. I do not expect the fight to regain control of our kingdom to be painless.
Good. We have our plan. Now act upon it.
Then we shall depart at once, until we meet again in the capital.
Farewell, and good luck to us all.
Erica, Thalis, I cannot put off fighting them any longer.
My, you're certainly calm for someone about to be sold off in the morrow.
Sold off? You would compare my marriage into House Wolfort to trading coin for flesh. Why, I am to be a beacon of allyship, A bridge between our two lands.
Yes, yes. So tell me, how do you plan on seducing the Wolfort boy? Wait, let me guess. You'll use the same charms your mother did on our father.
Oh, enough cajoling, Erica. You're apt to make her cry. And Frederica, you know you take such abuse in silence, don't you? In any case, you seem to be under the impression that you've been entrusted with some crucial task. That couldn't be further the truth. This is only to get you out of the way, same as your mother. You're no use to anyone in S. Frost.
But you already know that, don't you?
Well, every happiness to you, dear sister.
The world I knew before was so very limited. No matter what awful thing happened to me, I believed I could do nothing but suffer in silence. But staying quiet in the face of injustice is tantamount to condoning it. I needed to stand up and fight for myself. Becoming House Wolfort was the best thing to ever happen to me. Erica, Thalas, I'm done running.
In the dead of night, a small ship slips silently into Whiteholm Castle. Aboard are none other than the elite Wolfort fighters, led by Serenoa himself.
All right, it's time.
Where should we set the blast crystal, Milo?
Right around the middle of the bridge would be perfect. The wood will splinter apart quite nicely. Plus, any repairs we'll need to make later will be easy.
In the middle it is. Search for a suitable spot. In the meantime, Milo, you ready the blast crystal?
With pleasure. The time for you to awaken is nigh, my patient little elf. Just give me the command.
All right, then let's...
Wolford? When did you get here?
Phallus!
Oh, I am so glad we didn't leave this to Avlora. I am shocked, Frederica, to find you sneaking around like a common thief.
Erica.
They've got us surrounded.
There's nowhere to run, dear Frederica.
That's where it's taken. There is always a path forward.
Oh, I tire of your bravado. How about this? Kneel to me, and I shall forgive you. Get on your hands and knees and beg for my mercy. Go on. I said beg.
I will not.
What?
Obeying unjust orders is cowardice. And silence is acquiescence.
What are you muttering about?
Do not speak to me. I will cower to your whims no longer.
Well, well, you finally learned how to stand up for yourself. Right before you die.
Kill them! Every last one.
I won't let you down.
There is no retreat, and there is only one way forward. Strike down every Asfrosti soldier in our way. For the honor of House Wolford.
Your orders?
This'll hurt. Into the shadows.
My turn. For my kingdom!
Shall we dance?
Battle is ours.
Now a turn. Ah! If I must. Frederica, your existence sullies the Frosty bloodline. We'll be pure again as soon as I have killed you.
Say what you will. I am proud of the blood that runs through my... I have found people who love me for who I am. No longer will I let you or anyone else make me afraid.
Slaughters.
Come down! There is no mercy on the battlefield. There is always a way.
For victory! My lance strikes true! Go! Ha!
I'll show you what I can do. Don't be afraid. Allow me. With the what?
Marrying into House Wolfort certainly gave you an inflated opinion of yourself, Frederica. But you are nothing but filth, descended from a long line of filth. I will address.
Threaten me all you like. I am no longer so easily cowed.
I shall do what I can. Be at ease.
My thanks.
Time for some research.
Joking. To further the arcane arts.
Allow me. With the power.
For the honor of Fort.
Thought you had me, huh?
Victory is within reach. I feel stronger already. It's over.
Come now! Back at you!
I might as well enjoy this. Out of my sight.
Shall we dance? Light as a butterfly.
The hunt is on.
Feisty, aren't we?
One more.
My turn. You don't stand a chance. Did you see that?
There is no mercy on battlefield.
All for victory.
You have my thanks.
Here I come. It's not over yet.
Have my thanks.
I fight for peace.
We can win this.
So, it falls to me.
Free!
Cool head shall prevail. This is what I do.
My thanks. For the honor of House Wolfort. On your guard. What have we here? For my kith and kin.
Your orders? This'll hurt.
Too slow. Brother.
Good for nothing, little bro. You always make me do all the work. On the Esfrost name. House Wolfort is doomed. That's what you get for mixing with the dirty Roselle. You ought to thank me for putting you and your beloved both out of your misery.
Your tea ends today. Any who dare disparage Frederica will have to answer to me.
Choices, choices.
Charge!
Here I come.
Try this! Come on, then.
I fight for peace. Too action. Oh no!
I see a path to victory. Stay composed.
I won't let you down.
My knowledge grows deeper.
Time for some research.
Time for some sorcery.
Full heads shall prevail.
I'm behind you.
My apologies.
Time to work.
Too obvious.
But where shall we strike? On your guard!
I might as well enjoy this. Pay attention.
Now what to do?
Dance poison. I fight.
I won't lose! Brace yourself! Yes!
So, it falls to me.
Freeze!
Here I come.
This ends
Allow me!
My pride is my shield. Come on, then. Well, that worked.
Let us pry out their weakness. Let us feel
Much
our
appreciated.
defenses.
Here I come.
I will end this.
It's over.
Cool heads shall prevail.
Your wounds are
Much appreciated.
Defeat is not an option. This ends here!
On the Esfrost name, out of my sight. I will end this. Stay right there. We will make our ideals reality. The hunt is on. Darkness, victory is ours.
Come on, then. Stay out of the way.
Charge!
Let's play. Take this! Ever more lovely.
There is no mercy on the battlefield. Let us seal our defenses.
Lovely.
Where was I?
my turn. You won't catch me.
Here I come! They got me. One more round.
If I must.
Die! Let me heal yours.
Allow me.
Thank you. For the honor of House Wolfort. Close, but not quite.
Almost.
I fight for peace.
Struck true. Now then, to work.
Come on! Yes, very effective.
That sounds right. This is the end.
Charge! Take that! Did you see that?
Here I come.
Leave it to me!
Leave everything to me.
There is no mercy on the battlefield. Stay composed.
I'm going for it. Choices, choices.
Light as a butterfly.
Nibbling.
You poor thing.
Enough of this.
I hope you're watching, Grandfather. It's not over yet.
Much appreciated.
You'll do what I can.
Thank you.
It's one step closer to our hope.
From where will we strike?
Allow me.
My turn.
Nibbling.
Three is within reach.
Now then, to work.
My turn. You don't stand a chance.
Sounds right.
Time to take flight.
Take that! Leave everything to me. Ain't over yet.
Thanks.
I'm old, not a pushover.
Let us pry out their weakness. You have nothing.
Enough of this. Burn to a crisp.
Not to do.
tonight!
It hurts. It hurts. No, I don't want to die.
Farewell, Erica. Alice.
Frederica.
This isn't over yet. We must fell the bridge before reinforcements arrive.
Benedict's right. Milo?
As you command. Now, little Elfric, it's showtime.
What a beautiful sight that bridge made coming down. You've outdone yourself, House Wolfort.
I'm flattered. The capital?
It is ours. No fighting, no bloodshed, and no civilian casualties so far.
Thank you, Minister.
Now, all we have to contend with is Whiteholm Castle itself.
What of the river blockade?
Minister Camsell is progressing apace. It's taking slightly longer than anticipated, but should be under control soon.
So we succeeded in trapping Avlor and the others. Still need to determine how to destroy them.
There's no need to fight anymore. We'll send an envoy to negotiate a ceasefire.
But will they agree to that? A complete reforming of broken diplomatic ties, bloodless. These are not easy conditions to agree to.
True, which is why success ultimately depends on who we send as our envoy.
It shall go. This was my idea in the place.
Do not shoulder this burden so rashly. We must consider carefully who to send. All of us. Together.
Serenoa.
Very well. I shall leave the decision in your hands.
I would like to ascertain the status of the castle before negotiations begin. It is to our advantage to know how many soldiers there are and what their morale is.
Agreed. Duet, you scout for us from the skies.
But of course, I shall return with the information post-haste.
Serenoa. Indeed. Yes. I see. But... what should we do?
Ah, yes? Uh-huh. I require some time to think.
Aye, lad.
You're onto something. I've made up my mind.
It is time to cast our votes. In which strategy do we entrust the future of Glenbrook? Approach the scales of conviction with your token at the ready.
Even still.
I'm afraid I agree.
I'm with you.
The scales of conviction will illuminate the path we've chosen. The way forward is decided. We collapse the reservoir and flood the capital, dealing a crippling blow to the enemy forces.
You will submerge the capital in the battle. I see. So Wolford rules with military might. It is a thorny path you tread. Your people will resent you for this.
I know.
It would be unfortunate if you didn't, but that is what it means to rule with might. I must return to Hyzant and see Minister Campbell. Next we meet, you will have both of our armies at your backs.
You have my thanks.
We cannot afford to lose this fight. For Norzelia.
I thought this battle was for Glenbrook.
This is not a simple struggle for power, Minister Serenoa. The goddess, the source, Ire? The war of 30 years ago comes back to haunt us because the old cling to relics of the past. Norzelia needs to be born anew. Right now, the people of every nation are searching for a young standard-bearer to guide them.
A standard-bearer?
Yes, people like you and... This war is a fine opportunity for us to show our worth to Norzelia.
House Wolfort and Hyzant join forces and begin planning Glenbrook's recapture. But with the Norzelia River and the Esfrosti armies in their way, retaking the capital will be no easy feat. Benedict hatches a plan to break the dam, flood the capital, and use the ensuing chaos to take Whitehome Castle. Serenoa and the others know that the city will not escape unscathed, but are left with no recourse if they wish to defeat the enemy in one fell swoop. In support of House Wolfort, Hyzant's great army marches forth for the first time since the Salt Iron War.
Lady Destra, we finally have the upper hand. The path we tread was not an easy one, but Lord Saren persevered and has become a fine leader because of it. Once we reclaim the capital and restore the kingdom to its former glory, we may finally see peace. My job will soon be over. Please pray for Wolfort's success. What is it, my lord?
I've been searching for you. The soldiers are calling.
About the provisions, I presume.
Oh,
This is my mother's grave.
I see.
Benedict visits her in place of her unworthy son. He is a cool-headed man, but undoubtedly more just that.
But of course.
Frederica, would you visit my mother's grave with me?
Are you certain?
Of course.
Then I would love to.
General, it appears an army of Hyzantian soldiers has arrived at Castle Wolfort.
No doubt they've come to take Whiteholm from us.
No. Whatever will we do? It looks like they didn't take kindly to Brother's schemes.
Avlora, dispatch an army at once.
There is no need. It is best we await them here. No matter how great an army they possess, they will not fell this stronghold easily. All we need to do is buy time. Once they realize what the Archduke is planning, they will tremble in fear.
That will put Esfrost in the same position as it was during the Salt Iron War, which, need I remind you, we lost.
Things are different than they were 30 years ago. They have no just cause for their actions. You understand, don't you, Your Majesty?
I do. I am the Queen of Glenbrook now. An attack on the capital constitutes treason toward the crown and their kingdom.
The people will not support someone without a cause. Without their backing, Wolfort cannot hope to win.
I refuse to acknowledge that pitiful little puppet as queen.
As do I. She disgusts me.
Personal emotions have no place on the battlefield. I cannot entrust anything to such fools, and the Archduke shall know of it.
Avlora!
The nerve of that woman.
So the battle against House Wolford begins.
Minister Serenoa, Minister Camsell and I have brought as many soldiers as we could.
Thank you for bringing reinforcements.
It was you who moved them. There has not been an army this great in Hyzant for 30 years. The Salt Iron War also brought friends and foes together like this. We may have won then, but we had best knock.
Of course, which is why we have a strategy to ensure our victory.
Minister Exham gave me a brief overview of the plan. Coordination will be the key to our success.
Indeed. Let us go over the plan in detail.
Another war as big as the last. Just how great will the damage be this time?
Let us reconfirm our strategy. Benedict, if you would.
Our target, Whiteholm Castle, was built upon a sandbar in the Norzelia River. The city, sprawled upon the riverbank, is connected to the castle by a single bridge. The river and are the greatest obstacles to invading armies.
I am well aware. I could not believe my ears when I heard of Esfrost's invasion.
Use the new mining venture to take us by surprise.
However, the SD army has solidified its defenses. They will likely spread their forces in front of the bridge.
It is the only path of entry. Geographically speaking, it would be impenetrable.
But we shall use that geography to our advantage. The surrounding river was originally prone to floods. But the kings of old spent years improving the river and created a dam upstream to control its water levels. We plan to explode that dam using your Elfric.
And create a deluge to cleanse the city of Esfrosti salts.
Indeed. It is a plan they can neither predict nor defend against. Their entire army will be swept away.
The people will not let you get away with that.
There was once a residence along the riverside for nobles and wealthy merchants. However, it is now occupied by Esfrosti aristocrats and officers.
That should mitigate Glenbrook's casualties.
But there will doubtlessly be deaths. Not to mention the lake is Kingdom's source of water, or so I hear. The price of victory will be the people's deep-seated hatred.
Ugh. I know, but I'm willing to assume any grudge they would bear.
Your resolve has been duly noted. I shall lend you my strength. On your signal, we shall enter the city and evacuate as many citizens as we can.
You are a kind man, Minister Cancel. But this would incur quite a debt of gratitude. Allow me to lend a hand as well.
Thank you.
Milo, the blast crystal is capable of destroying the dam, yes?
Undoubtedly.
Excellent. Then our strategy is settled.
First, you two must put pressure on the capital. I wish for you to draw the attention of the Esfrosti army. We shall head to Telior and set the blast crystal.
It will explode tomorrow at daybreak.
Very well. May the fortunes of war favor us.
Hyzant and Wolfwood begin to put their strategies into action. To draw the eye of the Esfrosti forces, the Hyzantian army encircles the crown city of Glenbrook. Meanwhile, Sarah and the others quietly make their way up the Norzelia River toward Telior, Elfric in tow. Though aware of the risks, they hope exploding the dam will flood the city below and rid it of the Esfrosti forces within.
As Huet reported, there are Asfrostiers here, but not many.
Of course. The lake is a precious water reservoir for the kingdom.
Indeed, which is why House Tellior sealed themselves up here.
So now we wait until nightfall to set the blast crystal.
Before that, there are two things we must do. The first is to find a place for it. And the second is to disable the street lamps.
You mean those posts?
At night, the lamps draw on the power of rocks called lumistone to glow. We remove them.
Then we'll split up into two teams. Benedict and Milo, I leave the lake to you. I shall take care of the street lamps.
Very well. Hannah, Lord Serenoa's disguise.
It is ready.
To think the young lord capable of such a thing. He is a curious man, isn't he?
No, he isn't.
Constable Sycris reporting for duty. Frost has sent me to help patrol the area.
Welcome, Constable. If you don't mind my asking, what brings an officer to this lake?
I can't say for sure. I'm merely obeying orders.
There are more guards than before.
That doesn't mean they are keen to our plan. Stick to the strategy.
It doesn't make any sense. Why were you demoted to Borderland Patrol? Exposing Svarog was a praiseworthy feat.
Calm yourself. The Archduke decided so because of that very feat.
What do you mean?
Think about it. Svarog is a guarded man, because I'm always sniffing about. But if the Archduke were to remove me from the cap...
You mean the Archduke is trying to throw Svarog off his guard?
It is mere speculation. I cannot know what the Archduke is thinking. More importantly, protecting this area is an important job. We must dedicate ourselves to our mission.
The plan is unchanged. We will steal up to the dam and set the blast crystal.
What if we're seen?
We cannot risk the capital knowing. Witnesses must be exterminated immediately.
Understood.
Milo, we leave the crystal in your care.
Very well.
Let's go. We must there before the sun rises.
A dangerous mission in the dark. How thrilling.
And now, to arms!
I'll give it a try.
I'll do my best.
We must occupy the watchtower if we are to destroy the dam.
I'd hate to be caught in the act. How do you suggest we slip by unseen?
Avoid the street lamps. If they see us, they'll surround us where we stand.
Sneaking around in the shadows it is.
To the watchtower, everyone.
For the honor of House Wolfort.
choices.
Think you can catch me?
I found an intruder! The alarm. Intruders! Tighten our defenses.
Defeat is not an option. Ah!
Hey!
Damn it!
Let me show you what I've learned. Two actions worked! For a better world. Time for some sorcery. Fire! It worked! I'll make you proud, Grandfather.
Charge! Time to take action. You're finished! An honor and a privilege to serve.
Cool heads shall prevail.
My duty shall be done.
Got your red-handed.
You seem like an honest man. I will thoroughly enjoy laying you down.
You shameless woman. I will expose whatever you're plotting.
Time to work.
It's for life.
It's time.
The hunt is on.
Descend now!
Feisty, aren't we?
No tricking off!
Damn poison!
From where shall we strike?
Yes, this will do.
Allow me.
I won't lose! My lance strikes true!
Time for sorcery. Ready to see a spell?
My duty shall be done.
Ow! Ow! Ow!
You're from House Wolford, no? What are you doing here?
You'll see soon. Now get out of my way, or I'll...
Time to work.
I shall do what I can.
I'll take it from here.
Here I come.
You get victory is ours! You off!
Yeah. I admit it. I'm on my back foot. This should do it.
It's time. I got it.
Shall we dance? Dance, poison! Let me show you what I've learned. Stay right there!
What a gift. For the honor of House Wolford.
Haha!
I'm with you.
So it falls to...
Ouch!
This won't be easy. Brace yourself!
My turn! We must tread carefully. A wasted effort. I hope you're watching, Grandfather. Just hold on, everyone!
Thank you.
Cool heads shall prevail.
I'm behind you. You have my gratitude.
Whatever it takes.
There!
Time to take flight.
What have we here?
Feisty, aren't we? This might
You're open.
sting some.
So it comes to battle. Please work.
Allow me. Flames, heed my call! Now what to do? Light as a butterfly.
Defeat is not an option. That hit the mark.
How embarrassing. That did the trick.
I can still move.
Allow me. My turn.
Sheer goal. Brace yourself! I shirk from no danger.
Bested by intruders.
I'll show you what I can do.
Cool heads shall prevail.
I'm behind you.
Thank you.
One step closer to our hope.
Time
Time to take flight. Take that! My pride is my shield.
Whatever it takes.
Leave everything to me. What are you and your cups about?
Appreciated.
I must remain calm. This is my way of doing things.
Allow me. Stay right there.
Shall we dance? Light as a butterfly.
My turn.
We're not done here! Have another!
For the honor of House Wolfort.
I won't lose! My lance strikes true!
Here I come. Ready to see a spell?
Damn it! I'm not done yet. This is far
I feel
from
better
over.
than ever. Here I come. Yeah!
Shall we begin?
Sorry to worry you.
Feisty, aren't we? No slacking off.
That was close.
Well, congratulations, Arnold.
I'll give it my best. Aim and... There's more yet to learn.
My turn.
Suffer. This'll hurt.
Now what to do?
Dance, poison! I fight for peace.
For the honor of House Wolfort.
Now I end this.
Mother. I'll show you what I can do. Fire! I did it! This battle is ours. Take that!
Cool heads shall prevail.
For one and all. Thank you.
I'll take it from here.
Feisty, aren't we? No
For victory! This is where you see that?
Now what to do?
Dance, poison!
That took longer than I anticipated. The sun is about to rise.
Milo, is the crystal ready?
Please don't rush me. This little one is very delicate. Good little Elfric, just be patient. Your time is coming. And your first cries shall herald my victory. It's ready. I've said it just as you asked.
Then let's make haste.
Purple flames have risen by the lake. The deluge is coming.
Just as we planned. Who knew House Wolford kept such a bold strategist in their midst? They truly are terrifying.
But we shan't lose to them. Now, to the capital.
Did you see that thing up on the mountain this morning? It was shining something fierce.
It looked like a purple light of some sort. Hey, do you feel that rumbling?
Yeah, and it's getting stronger too.
Ah! It's the Hyzantian army!
Subjects of Glenbrook, a flood is coming. The city will soon be submerged. You must leave here at once.
A flood?
The dam is broken. We came here to warn you. This rumbling you feel should be proof enough. If you value your life, you must flee the city now!
The dam broke? Then this rumbling is from the water!
We have to go! Now!
Run! A flood is coming!
Hyzantian hounds. Such a petty trick will not work on me.
Ha ha! General Evlora, you stay right where you are.
No. Do they speak true?
Aye, lad. Tough spot we're in.
My lord. Interesting indeed. I am decided. Quite impossible. I may have to consult.
Yes, sir. Indeed. I need time.
Serenoa. Surely. I need a moment to
Yes, I see. I require some time to think.
It is time to cast our votes. In which strategy do we entrust the future of Glenbrook? Approach the scales of conviction with token at the ready.
On this, I cannot be swayed.
Even still.
I agree wholeheartedly.
I agree.
I'm with you.
The scales of conviction will illuminate the path we've chosen. The way forward is decided. We infiltrate the castle via the hidden passage and take the enemy by surprise.
You will steal into the castle and defeat their commanding officer. I see. So Wolfort chooses to walk a wicked path. That makes you no different than S-Frost.
We do not regret the choice we have made.
Then it is time to see it done. It may very well be our best chance at victory. I must return to Hyzant and see Minister Kamsel. Next we meet, you will have both of our armies at your backs.
You have my thanks.
We cannot afford to lose this fight. For Norzelia.
I thought this battle was for Glenbrook.
This is not a simple struggle for power, Minister Snow. The goddess, the source, iron? The war of 30 years ago comes back to haunt us because the old cling to relics of the past. Norzelia needs to be born anew. Right now, the people of every nation are searching for a young standard-bearer to guide them.
A standard-bearer?
Yes, people like you and me. This war is a fine opportunity for us to show our worth to Norzelia.
House Wolfort and Hyzant join forces and begin planning Glenbrook's recapture. But Norzelia River and the Esfrosti armies in their way, retaking the capital will be no easy feat. Roland proposes they infiltrate Whiteholm Castle and take out the enemy commanders. Though a risky game, it is well worth it if they can destroy them all in one fell swoop. Serenoa and the others agree to the plan. In support of House Wolfort, Hyzant's great army marches forth for the first time since the Salt Iron War.
Prince Roland, there is something I'd like to ask you before our mission.
Then ask it.
Why do you really want to infiltrate Whiteholm Castle?
To prevent needless harm to the capital, of course. And to exact revenge with my own hands.
Is that it? Roland, you know you can confide in me.
I want to save Cordelia. She's bound to get caught up in the violence if we launch a full-scale attack. But if we can sneak into the castle, we might be able to get her out. I know this is a war to reclaim our kingdom, but I cannot rid myself of such selfish desires. Contemptuous, is it not?
I understand the burden of leadership. Perhaps it would be easier if we could but purge ourselves of our hearts. But as your vassal, nay, as your friend, I would not want the company of one so void of emotion. We will save Queen Cordelia. Together.
My friend, I cannot thank you enough.
There's but a single longship docked? It would take one blast crystal to destroy, and their escape route with it.
Heard Hyzant send in a massive army. Are we gonna be all right without the Archduke?
I wouldn't worry. Not with General Avlora on our side.
Her I trust. Thalas and Erica, on the other hand, huh.
Shh. Not so loud. Who knows what they'd do to you if they heard that?
So Gustadolf isn't here, but Avlora, Thalas, and Erica are.
Minister Serenoa, Minister Camsell, and myself, what troops we could muster.
I am grateful for the reinforcements.
As you should be. Hyzant hasn't mobilized this large of a force in 30 years.
There's no need for delicacy with this many soldiers at your disposal. We could fell the enemy with a frontal assault. Though it seems you have some other eyes in mind.
We do. The city and its people will suffer greatly should we brute force our way in.
Instead, we will infiltrate Whiteholm and take out the Asfrosti commanding officers.
And how do you plan to do that? Via some secret passage none but you are of?
Just so. The same way we snuck into the castle when the capital fell.
An effective strategy, I'm sure. Though recent intelligence, Gustadolf has returned to his homeland.
In which case we shall target Prime Minister Thalas and Erica, and General Avlora. We'll have Milo destroy their ship with the blast crystal to prevent them from escaping.
What a devious trick. My favorite kind.
The castle will be easy to take with those three disposed of. Very well then. We shall do it your way.
We would like the two of you to distract the Asfrosti forces with your armies.
When their attention shifts to the front, we will slip into the...
Very well. May fortune smile upon us all.
Hyzant's forces have entered Castle Wolfort. It won't be long until House Wolfort makes their move.
Meaning they're coming here. It's hard to believe they'll soon be in the capital again.
My queen, I must advise against considering them allies. Lord Serenoa is now one of Hyzant's saintly 7. Not to mention they're raising arms against the seat of their former sovereign. They want justice. They want the royal blood that runs through your veins.
So you seek to make a puppet of me as well?
I do. But you needn't worry. They will not breach this castle so long as I protect it.
Indeed.
A battle is upon us, but fear not. I shall protect you.
General Avlora speaks true. Yet I still want to believe in House Wolfort. Brother, give me strength.
Hyzant and Wolfort begin to put their strategies into action. To draw the eye of the Asfrosti forces, the Hyzantian army encircles the crown city of Glenbrook. Meanwhile, Serenoa and his retinue, Elfric in hand, will steal into Whiteholm Castle.
Hyzan's forces are on the move!
They're coming for the capital! To your stations!
Minister Exham's created quite the distraction for us.
Let's make for the harbor first. Anna says there's only one longship there. We can use the blast crystal to sink it and cut off their retreat.
There are fewer soldiers than I expected.
They want us to load up art and jewels from the merchants? What nonsense is this?
Lady Erica commanded it. I'd wager she plans to cut and run if things get ugly. It's ridiculous, I know, but imagine what she'd do to us if she found out Bade.
Oh, fine, fine. Get the bloody merchants.
Perfect. I'll disguise myself as a merchant and search the ship. Once I find out where they've stationed soldiers, we can get Milo aboard.
Let me go. They won't look twice at me.
I would rather you not take that risk, my lord.
You and Eridor have too much gravitas. I'm best suited for the task.
And what about me?
The task I need you for won't come until later.
I understand. Good luck then.
Hide yourselves. We'll find each other after.
That man will stop at nothing to win he. Consider me charmed.
How are things progressing with the ship?
We've learnt the enemy's position. If we can draw their attention, we should be able to get Milo aboard.
Hey, you there, merchant! Sorry about this. I'll inform my commander you'll need reparations. What the? Who are you?
Damn!
Intruders! Sound the alarm!
Damn, we were careless.
House Wolfwood. How did they get past our defenses?
Phallus.
Of course you would side with them, Frederica. This is Cordelia's doing, isn't it? She will answer for this when I bring her your heads!
How thoughtful he saved us the trouble of looking for him. We can sink him along with the ship and continue as planned.
Indeed. Let's find a way in and get that blast crystal in place.
Leave it to me!
I'll do my best.
Understood.
I'll do my best. Understood. May we return home unharmed.
Ready and willing. Seize them! We will gift their heads to Queen Cordelia. Erica will be here soon, but this place is mine and mine alone. I won't let anyone else steal it out from under me.
I would hate to have to satisfy an entire army, reinforcements and all. What shall we do?
This changes nothing. We will defeat them and then destroy the ship.
From where shall we strike?
Time to work.
Charge!
Now what to do?
Slaughter is such sweet fun.
For the greater good.
You won't beat me! To victory!
For some sorcery. I fight for peace.
I shall do what I can. Make the most of this.
Time to take action.
Time for some research.
For the honor of House Wolford.
Your orders?
You won't catch me.
Slaughter is such sweet fun.
My turn.
Shall we dance? Dance, that must have hurt.
Don't tell me you were going to hoard all them for yourself, Alice.
She got here faster than I thought. No matter. There are more than enough of them for the two of us to share.
Count on me. Here you go. Let me show you what I've learned. I hope you're watching, Grandfather. Don't be afraid.
Now then, to work.
Whatever it takes.
We can do
Watch
this.
me work.
I shall do what I can. Victory goes to the quick.
Our victory is assured.
If I must. Are you enjoying this?
Forward!
Come at me! Push on through!
Into the shadows.
Ah, the stench of battle.
It's not over yet. This is where you see that?
I'll do my utmost.
go.
apologies.
For the people. Here
My
you go.
apologies.
Now what to do? Like you poor thing. Erica or something, wasn't it? Life must be hard for you, being so ugly inside and out. Let me ease your suffering.
How dare you speak to me in such a way? I will kill you for that!
Allow me.
Flames, heed my call!
We will make our ideals reality.
Well, well, Frederica, you're here too? For a horrid wretch betraying her family, you certainly seem calmer than I'd imagined.
You have never thought of me as family. Not once.
Of course not. Toys don't count. Go on. Cry like you always do.
I am not that anymore. Now I know better than to suffer injustice in silence. I will never cower before either of you again.
For the honor of House Wolfort.
On your... Ha-ha!
On the S-Frost burn to a crisp.
Time for some research.
I see through you.
I'll show you what I can do.
Nibbling!
I'll make you proud, Grandfather.
I shall do what I can.
Allow me.
The tides are turning. Time to take action. Now! Yes! An honor and a privilege to serve. It's no use.
Ah, the stench of battle.
Gah!
Victory
We're
is
not done
in reach.
here. You won't beat me! Time to die! Look at me learning.
I see right through you.
My turn. Yes!
For my family, I suppose.
Whatever it takes.
to go.
Much better.
Frost name.
I fight for peace.
Splendid.
Flames! What?
For the honor of House Wolfort.
I'll make that hit the mark.
Here goes.
Dance poison!
Now right on target.
I shall do what I can. Be at ease.
The tides are turning.
Your orders?
Perfect! It's over! Now's my chance!
So, it falls to me. I do not miss. Yes, my research bears fruit.
Here I come! I did it!
Strike while the iron's hot. Now!
Damn. Enjoying myself a bit too much.
I'll take you on! Push on through!
Ah, the stench of battle.
For victory! My lance strikes! Did you see that?
For the greater good. Come on! Enough of this.
Back at you!
Allow me.
Your orders?
Allow me.
You left yourself
nibbling.
open.
Sound strike.
Allow me.
Nibbling.
Victory for life.
This isn't happening. I am too young, too beautiful. No!
Erica is dead?
What would Father do?
So, it falls to me.
Shall we begin?
For one and all,
My thanks.
time for some sorcery.
Ah, the stench of battle.
Time to take action. This is far from do my best.
I've been waiting for this. Gotcha!
For victory! Brace yourself!
Let me help.
For my kingdom!
For the greater good. Get some
Leave it to me!
My turn. Victory is within reach. Victory is within reach.
Allow me. Blade, heed my call.
Ah, the stench of battle. Forward!
Your victory is within reach.
Now then, to work. I do not miss.
Cool heads shall prevail.
I'm behind you.
My thanks.
I hope you're watching, Grandfather.
Whatever it takes. I will do what I can. Ready for more!
I thought I had him.
I won't lose! Brace yourself!
Ah, the stench of battle. Come now!
I'll do my utmost.
I will end this.
Suffer. This'll hurt. I will end this.
From where shall we strike? Now I end this. To lead, I must grow.
Now then, to work.
I'll show you what I can do. Don't be afraid.
I shall do what I can.
Allow me. You have my gratitude.
Time to take action.
For my family. So you were Hyzan's creature now, revenging yourself on your old master. What low depths you have sunk to, Wolfort.
Say what you like. Justice is on our side.
My turn.
Curses!
For the greater good. Here you go.
Have my gratitude.
For the people. Here
My
you go.
apologies. I won't lose! Out of my way!
I can still stand. Two ashes.
So, it falls to me.
Come on! From where shall we strike? Thought you had me, huh?
I shall do what I can. Your wounds are healed.
You have my gratitude.
My growth is to see.
I hope you're watching, Grandfather.
What have we here?
Slaughter is such sweet food.
Glenbrook is in your
Be a good
hands.
girl, Frederica. Swear yourself to me, my beloved little pet, and I just might let you live.
You may believe otherwise, but you cannot threaten everyone into doing your bidding.
I will not be disrespected by some filthy Rosellan reject. You are a stain upon Esfrost, one I will take great pleasure in removing.
I understand now. You are sad and pathetic, and I happen to be there to bear the brunt of your discontent. But no longer. That ends today.
Time to take action.
Enough! Time to work.
Victory is within reach. Victory is
For the
within
greater
reach.
good. Take that! Oh! I fight for peace.
So, it falls to me.
Try this! From where shall we strike?
I will end this.
You pay!
Victory in reach! We mustn't lose heart.
Allow me. I have to do something. Ready to see it stand. I did it!
Whatever it takes. Perfect! An honor and a privilege to serve.
For the greater good. Here you go. I fight for peace.
So, it falls to me.
Free! Oh, I'm too beautiful.
The wind rages!
What would Father do?
Death from above!
Time to work.
Good job.
Shall we begin? Be at ease.
This will help.
I'll do my utmost.
Curses!
Here I come.
Strike while the iron's hot. Curses!
Pardon me.
Just an effort.
Let me show you what I've learned.
Now then, to work.
Curses!
How did this happen?
Time to work.
From where shall we strike?
Good job.
I'll show you what I can do. Lightning!
You pay!
It worked!
Good
I
job.
shall do what I can.
Allow me. Thanks. Whatever it takes. I will end this. Two axes.
I'll take it from here.
Take that! Oh, I'm too beautiful to die.
Time for some research.
For the honor of House Wolfort.
Death from above!
You pay!
Brother, help me. I can't let him down.
Count on me. Here I come.
I shall do what I can. Go swiftly.
Much appreciated.
I fight for peace.
It can't hold it longer.
Right on target.
So, it falls to me.
For the honor of House Wolfort.
Ha-ha!
Whatever it takes. Take that!
We're right on target.
I'll show you what I can do. Ready to see a spell? Allow me. With the powers in me for a better world.
Shall we begin? Be at ease.
My thanks. Strike while the iron's hot.
Now then, to work.
I see through you.
Carefully. I'll make this quick.
Whatever it takes. Allow me. Time for some sorcery.
That hit the mark.
I'll make you proud, Grandfather.
I shall do what I can. Your wounds are healed.
Much appreciated.
Time to take action.
Take that!
So, it falls to me.
To further the arcane arts. Forward!
Ha! What a revere. For the greater good. I fight for peace. Here I come. It's not over yet.
Much better.
I shall do what I can.
Time to take action.
Well,
Whatever it takes.
Count on me.
Defeat is not an option.
Allow me.
Shall we begin?
Here I come.
so, it falls to me.
Whatever it takes.
I'll take it from here.
You're finished!
That takes care of that. I'll set up the blast crystal.
Erica. Valis.
They'd have killed us if we hadn't acted to protect ourselves. It had to be done.
Benedict's right. It's no more than they deserved for destroying so many lives to get their way.
You mean the same way we destroy any enemies who oppose us?
A fair point.
What does it matter? We won. Everything is ready. You need only say the word.
Detonate the crystal at once. With the enemy distracted by the explosion, we'll go after Avlora.
Do it, Milo.
How I wish there had been another way. I'm sorry. I know how you hated how soft I could get, Erica. Farewell.
The Frosty army's in chaos. Seems our plan went off without a hitch.
Minister Exham was to withdraw his troops the moment the ship exploded. Even supposing Avlora was out on the battlefield, I expect she'll be returning to the castle.
Then let's go take her down.
Queen Cordelia will be with Avlora, I'm sure of it. We must rescue her.
There's a good chance the enemy will use the Queen as a shield. We could be Her Majesty in grave danger.
That is a risk we have to take.
Yes, my lord.